I'm Welcome23, you're joining me for Titanic episode 15. We're trapped below decks, we have no other options. Charlie tells us this, and I believe him. So, we make our way through steerage towards the boiler room, hoping to find a route past the locked gates. As Charlie guides us through the labyrinth of hallways, the water continues to rise, our pace slows as moving forward becomes more and more exhausting. I glance over at my sister, who struggles to keep pace. Charlie notices as well. You're doing great, Helene. Not too much further, I promise. I can't help but wonder if she would have been better off in the cabin with the Ruhanas, instead of struggling through the bowels of the ship with us. The water's rising faster than before, much faster. Charlie hesitates before replying, apparently weighing honestly against encouragement. Honesty seems to win. It will probably get worse before it gets better. We may have to go through some real flooding soon. Real flooding? I don't see how much worse it could get, Charlie. Are we gonna have to swim? I hope not. That's not a no. I'm not much of a swimmer. We come to another branch, and Charlie stops. He closes his eyes and realizes he's imagining the configuration of the ship. I need to check something. See if the water's low enough to pass. Wait here a minute while I scout ahead. Charlie darts off before anyone can object. After a few seconds of silence, Mateo rolls up his sleeves and studies the watch on his wrist. Helene sighs the motion and smirks. I've nearly grown used to the wristwatch, such a curious piece of fashion, but Helene is less familiar with Mateo. Mateo seems to note Helene's interest, then laughs bitterly. On. The things that strike you during a crisis. How do you mean? I was wondering whether my watch would survive underwater. The watch means a lot to you. I've noticed you worrying over that timepiece before. What's so special about it? It was a gift from my grandfather. He wore it in the Boer War. The soldiers used rich watches to synchronize their tacks with precision. If I were a superstitious man, I'd say that it was lucky. He survived the war, so maybe we'll survive this. Tell me about him. What was your grandfather like? He was from the Italian side of the family. A proud man, brave, with a wicked sense of humor. He gifted me the watch before he passed away a few years ago. Maybe you'll give it to your own grandchildren someday. Mateo nods, but doesn't answer. Instead, he adjusts his sleeve once more and peers down the corridor, as if watching for Charlie. I imagine James is sitting safely in a lifeboat right now. Call it madness, but I am content to be here, instead of with him. I know what kind of sacrifice you made to help me, and I'm grateful. It's not much of a sacrifice. James can be tiring, and a lifeboat is rather intimate. Hear splashing, footsteps approaching, heralding Charlie's return. His expression is grim, but not hopeless. I found a way to the boiler room. It's wet, but we can make it. Good. Let's hope Zeta held a place for us on her lifeboat. I don't want to think too far ahead, but he's right. All this might be for naught if there isn't room. Last I saw Zeta, she was going to look for James. I can't help but wonder if she found him. You know what? I'm saving diamonds. I want to do this, but I'm doing X-Files. Hopefully we'll find out eventually. Let's keep moving. The longer we wait, the greater the chance we get left behind. With Charlie leading, we make our way down to the orlop deck. True to his warnings, the water is much higher here. As we approach one of the boiler rooms, we hear shouts and the clatter of shovels striking coal. The scene is one of barely controlled chaos. The heat and smoke from the boiler are almost unbearable. Firemen scurry across the wet floor, working furiously to feed the flames. I can't believe these men are still down here. Why haven't they left? They're keeping the electricity on. If the fires go out, we lose power. All the lights, the radio, and most important, the pumps. They're just trying to keep the ship afloat as long as possible. Even a few extra minutes might help save more passengers or get them to safety. They die so the rich can live. It's always the workers who suffer, isn't it? And they're always forgotten while the wealthy survive. They signed up for the work, their dedication. A dozen firemen suddenly pour into the room from one of the other doors, slamming it shut behind them. They're soaked from head to toe, shouting out panicked reports to the other workers. Charlie focuses on one of the men, the fellow we met during our last visit to the boilers, and pulls him to the side. "John, what happened?" It takes a moment for the young man to register that someone is speaking. He barely looks at Charlie when he finally replies. "Boiler room 5 just flooded. The water was rising, slow but steady, and then something just burst. A wave swallowed us, snuffed out the fire. We had to seal the door. Some of the others, they didn't make it out." Give Charlie and John a moment. John is clearly traumatized. I step back, giving Charlie and his friends some space. It's not your fault. You did what you had to do. The young man looks at me with wild eyes, as if just noticing my presence. What are you doing down here? You can't be down here!" "It's okay. They're with me." No. They'll distract the crew. Get in the way. What were you thinking, man? Why would you bring women down here? We're trapped. There's no way out. You brought them to this hellhole to die." Calm down, you're in shock. Listen to me. John, right? You've been through something awful, but you're... I'm what, safe? They sealed the doors to Boiler Room 5. If the water's that deep, where were you planning to go? I can see the expression on Charlie's face, that he's worried his friend is right. "Adele, I don't want to die. Not down here, not like this." Charlie's brow furrows, and I can see him desperately trying to come up with another plan. The ventilation shaft. "What are you talking about?" "The forward funnel of the ship. Smokestack, it's not attached to the boilers. It's mostly just for show, and to let air into the lower decks." Maybe. It's almost like a chant. Finally John forms words. You could climb the ventilation shaft from the engine room, up into the funnel, all the way to the top. Look at us. We're soaked and exhausted, and that sort of climb could be difficult." His eyes flicker to Helene first, and then to me. I realize he's not certain how much more we can endure. "We can do this. We haven't come all this way to give up. It may be hard going, but we'll find a way." Yes, we will." Mateo nods, convinced or not. He doesn't argue further. "Mateo, come with me. Let's scout ahead to make sure we have a clear path. Adele, stay here with John. He'll keep watch over you and your sister until we get back." Charlie gives me a long stare, and I sense his real meaning. He wants me to keep an eye on his troubled friend. Helene and I each take one of the young man's arms and lead him to a corner away from the other firemen who are frantically shoveling coal. "Charlie's a good man. You're lucky he's a steward now. If he were still working in the boiler room, he'd have to stay here with us instead of leading you to safety." None of us are lucky. This has been the worst night of all of our lives. What we've seen here will haunt us forever, even if we make it out. My words seemed to rouse something in the young man, a rekindled spark that had been snuffed out by the flood. "Charlie will get you out of here alive, as long as we give him the chance." He rises, trembling to his feet, and hefts a nearby shovel, joining his mates in their relentless efforts to keep the boilers going. Helene and I are alone now, standing in a corner so we don't get in the way of the firemen. "These men are so brave, but most of them are gonna die. It just doesn't feel real." Before I can reply, she turns to me and grasps my hand, staring intently into my eyes. I've been so worried about everyone else, Miss Rahana, the fireman, that I never asked if you're alright." "Worry about me after all of this. Stay focused on what matters, getting out of this alive. Once we're safe, then you can worry about me." "I could say the same thing to you, but you wouldn't stop worrying either." A familiar voice rises above the din as Charlie and Mateo return. Mateo's carrying some rope. Adele, Eleni, it's time. The way is clear, but you have to move fast. Mateo, you remember everything I told you? You know where to go? I do. There's something odd about his questions, and how Mateo defers to him. Then he looks at me. It's gonna be chaos on deck. Do you have a plan to get to the lifeboats? Charlie, what's going on? There's something you're not telling me. I'm not going with you. I started my career in the boiler rooms. It looks like this is where it'll end, too. No, Charlie. Oh, Mateo knows where to go. He'll get you to the boat deck. I know this is sudden, but when I saw the firemen risking their lives, I have to stay down here and help them. I have a duty to the ship and the passengers. I hope you understand. We still need you. You got us this far. Without you, we'll never make it to the rest of the way. I've done all I can. Mateo knows where to go. He can get you the lifeboats. I care about you, Adele. Very much. I think I love you, but I know you don't feel the same about me. And that's okay. I'm just glad I got to meet you. Know you as a friend. You're an amazing woman. And you're an amazing man. I'm glad I met you too. I needed a friend, and you were there for me. I hope you know how much that helped. Shouts rise up from the far corner of the room. Desperate men calling for help. Charlie turns to go. I know he won't change his mind, but I'm overwhelmed by an urge to save him. To do something, to drag him to the lifeboat myself. Knock him out somehow, save him. We're gonna be dragging him. Do we really want it? No. Like he said, each man shoveling coal will give each and every person a chance to live longer. Every minute counts. And I would do the same. I grab him by the shoulder and quick kiss him square on the lips. His eyes go wide in surprise, and he smiles. And then he turns away and rushes to join the workers. I feel Helene and Mateo beside me, respectful of the moment, but eager to get moving. This could be the last time I see Charlie. Stay to help Charlie as long as possible. I know we can't stay long, but I'll linger a few moments longer as Charlie shovels coal into the furnace. His face is strained with exertion, but there is a satisfaction, a contentment about him. He's at peace, and finally I turn away. The three of us head off, leaving the boiler room, and Charlie behind. The sounds of firemen quickly fade away. Goodbye, Charlie. That was short, sweet. I may have something in my eye. Anyway. Let me know in the comment section below if you could actually save Charlie. But, yeah. I would have made the same choice as Charlie. That's just who I am. If you've gotten to know me at all, or if you haven't, maybe you should. That is just the type of individual I am. I have literally given up my future 17 years ago to raise and take care of and give everything to two special needs brothers. My whole entire life I've given to others to make sure that they get ahead of where they are, to get over the burdens, the pain, the hurt, and so much other things they're going through, to make sure they get further than me. I've always been the type of individual And I will continue to be that type of individual until the day I die. Because what is the point of living if you don't make a difference in someone's life and make sure they continue on? Make sure that maybe, just maybe, they can do something greater than you ever could. So, that being said, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video. Peace.